The date is January 24, 1988, and inside the Copps Coliseum in Hamilton, Ontario, 18,000 souls have gathered for something they have never witnessed before. The air crackles with uncertainty and hunger. Perhaps they sense something historical in the making. The ring sits illuminated beneath the arena lights, a squared circle poised to contain something that has never been contained before. Organized chaos on a scale professional wrestling had not dared attempt. The announcement comes with ceremonial weight. 20 men, not one-on-one, not a tag team bout. 20 competitors entering at intervals, fighting simultaneously until only one remains standing in the ring. The novelty alone sends a charge of anticipation through the arena. Wrestling had always been intimate and orderly, a dance between two performers. This was different. This was mayhem disguised as sport. This was an invention that would define a generation. The bell rings, bodies collide, limbs flail. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, that patriotic warrior with his 2x4 and his stubborn American grit, is among those 20 souls. He moves through the match with the focused intensity of a man who understands the stakes. The clock ticks. Wrestlers enter, wrestlers exit. The match becomes a ballet of elimination, a chess game played at frightening speed. One-man gang, massive and imposing, charges toward Duggan with the force of a locomotive. But Duggan has other ideas. He evades, he lowers the top rope. The gang commits to the charge, and the trajectory carries him over the ropes and down to the floor below. It is elegant in its brutality. It is simplicity mastered. At 33 minutes, Hacksaw Jim Duggan stands alone, his hand raised in triumph as the crowd erupts into a frenzy that seems to shake the very foundation of the arena. In that single moment, in that provincial Canadian arena with 18,000 people bearing witness, a legacy is born. They could not have known it then, but they were watching the genesis of something that would define professional wrestling for the next 15 years. What follows from 1989 through 2002 would become known as the definitive era of the Royal Rumble, the golden age when the match belonged entirely to the World Wrestling Federation. These were the years before the modern company rendered the spectacle into corporate repetition, when the Rumble still carried the weight of unpredictability, when each entrant could shift the entire trajectory of the evening's story. The World Wrestling Federation understood something essential. The Rumble was not just a match, it was a statement of identity. Pat Patterson, the man who conceived this unprecedented spectacle, had created something that would evolve far beyond his original vision, becoming the foundation upon which entire wrestling careers would be built and destroyed. 1989 arrives like a fever dream. The summit in Houston hosts the second Rumble on January 15th, and already the event has grown beyond its original conception. 30 competitors now, expanded from the original 20 to accommodate the growing roster and the expanding vision of what this match could become. The pace has quickened. The desperation has intensified. Big John Studd, a towering figure of dominance, emerges through the elimination gauntlet with the methodical precision of a man destined for victory. When he hurls the $1 Million Man from the ring at 1 hour and 4 minutes into the match, Studd claims victory in a performance that defines the early Rumble spirit. Raw strength meeting raw determination. The crowd understands that this is something sacred, something built to last. And with this event, the Royal Rumble transforms into a pay-per-view spectacle, no longer confined to a single arena, but broadcast into homes across the nation. A coronation of legitimacy for what would become one of wrestling's most beloved annual traditions. 1990 crystallizes itself in Central Florida. Hulk Hogan, still the colossus of professional wrestling, steps into the Orlando arena and makes his presence known. The roar when he enters is seismic. For over 58 minutes, Hogan navigates the chaos with the confidence of someone who has already transcended the medium. When he eliminates Mr. Perfect to secure his victory, the image becomes permanent in the collective memory. The Hulkster, triumphant once again, proving that even in a battle royal of 30 warriors, his will cannot be denied. 1 year later, in January 1991, the Miami arena transforms into a furnace of anticipation. Hulk Hogan returns, seeking back-to-back victories. For over an hour, the match becomes an odyssey of brutality. Bodies pile the mat, wrestlers collide, the tension builds with each passing minute. And then Earthquake, the unstoppable force, mounts a brutal assault. Yet Hogan finds the strength to eliminate the quaking monster and claim his second consecutive crown. The crowd's roar shakes the foundations of the building itself. 1992 brings Ric Flair to Albany's Knickerbocker Arena. The Nature Boy, or the match with the confidence of someone who understands psychology better than most. For more than an hour, Flair weaves through the human minefield with calculated precision. He chops, he stalls, he cajoles, he survives. When Sid Justice is finally eliminated with the help of Hulk Hogan, the Nature Boy has proven something crucial. The Rumble was not simply about strength, it was about intellect, about understanding your opponent, about reading the match and responding with veteran acumen. Flair's victory validates a different archetype of wrestling superiority, proving that experience and cunning could triumph over raw power and youth. 1993 finds us in Sacramento. Yokozuna, the gigantic sumo wrestler managed by Mr. Fuji, enters the Royal Rumble as something close to an immovable object. For over an hour, Yoko dominates through sheer physical authority. When Randy Savage finally meets elimination at Yokozuna's hands, the match has belonged entirely to the massive competitor. There is something primal about Yokozuna's victory, something that reminds the audience that size, when combined with proper utilization, remains the ultimate advantage in professional wrestling. 1994 transforms the Rumble formula itself. Providence's Civic Center hosts a match that refuses to conclude in the traditional manner. Both Bret Hart and Lex Luger eliminate each other simultaneously, and the referee's decision hangs in the air like a question mark. The controversy feels genuine, the confusion feels earned. The match at 55 minutes encapsulates perfectly the unpredictable nature of the event. Sometimes there are no clean answers, only disputes that linger and fester and demand resolution, and dominates nearly 40 minutes of the match with a performance that resembles a wrestling recital. His elimination of the British Bulldog comes with the certainty of a man who understood his place in wrestling's hierarchy. Michaels' victory feels almost inevitable, a coronation of someone destined for main event status, and a direct path to WrestleMania's main stage. 1996 takes place in Fresno, California, where Shawn Michaels emerges once again as the Rumble's conqueror. The Heartbreak Kid enters at position 18 and navigates the increasingly complex dance of elimination with the finesse of a true artist. When Michaels eliminates Diesel after almost an hour, he proves something remarkable. He has mastered the Rumble not once, but twice. Michaels' second victory feels less like fortune and more like the inevitable result of a wrestler operating at peak physical and psychological capability. The Selland Arena witnesses the coronation of one of wrestling's most transcendent performers, a man who would shape the direction of the company for years to come. 1997 transforms the Rumble formula into something Stone Cold Steve Austin would make entirely his own. The Alamodome in San Antonio becomes the stage for Austin's ascent. The Texas Rattlesnake enters at position 5 and carries the match with relentless determination. His elimination of Bret Hart after 50 minutes crystallizes something prophetic. The crowd's reaction suggests they know they're witnessing the company's next ascendant star, a man whose hunger and intensity would shape the era to come. By 1998, Stone Cold Steve Austin has become the undeniable centerpiece of the Royal Rumble mythology. San Jose Arena erupts when Austin enters at number 24. For 55 minutes, Austin carries the match on his shoulders like Atlas bearing the world. His elimination of The Rock at the climax feels destined by something larger than mere competition. Austin has won the Rumble twice now. The pattern is becoming clear. Austin is not simply a wrestler capable of winning the Rumble. He is becoming the Rumble itself. 1999 presents a rupture in the expected narrative. The Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim witnesses Vince McMahon, the owner, the administrator, the background figure, entering as the second competitor and impossibly winning the entire match. The audience cannot believe what they are seeing. McMahon, the suited executive, eliminating Stone Cold Steve Austin to claim victory. It is audacious. It is controversial. It is perfect. The Rumble has transcended wrestling mechanics to become something approaching theatrical storytelling at its highest level. McMahon's victory serves as proof that the event had evolved beyond simple wrestling performance into something more akin to grand narrative theater. 2000 brings us to Madison Square Garden, where The Rock claims his first Royal Rumble victory. The Rock's meteoric rise to prominence reaches its apex when he eliminates Big Show after 52 minutes. The crowd at Madison Square Garden, perhaps the most historically significant wrestling venue in North America, validates The Rock's ascent with a roar that echoes through the entire arena. The charisma is undeniable. The momentum is unstoppable. 2001 finds us in New Orleans, where Stone Cold Steve Austin claims his third victory. The New Orleans arena becomes a temple to Austin's dominance when he eliminates Kane after just over an hour. Austin's third Royal Rumble victory stands alone, cementing his legacy as the defining wrestler of his era and proving that no one has ever ruled the Rumble with his level of dominance. 2002 arrives in Atlanta and Triple H, the cerebral assassin, dominates the Phillips Arena with methodical precision. His victory over Kurt Angle feels like the coronation of a new dynasty. The game's physical dominance, combined with his psychological manipulation of the match, represents the culmination of everything the Rumble had evolved into by that point. Triple H leaves Atlanta as a man who has mastered the ultimate wrestling challenge, who has demonstrated that the Rumble belongs not to the fastest or the strongest, but to the most intelligent and most ruthless. These 15 years, from 1988 through 2002, represent the apex of what the Royal Rumble could be. The World Wrestling Federation understood that the Rumble was sacred, that it deserved care and attention and storytelling depth. Each year built upon the last. Each winner felt earned. The matches themselves evolved in sophistication while maintaining their fundamental chaos. This was not the calculated, overproduced spectacle that later years would create. This was wrestling at its most pure, most desperate, most brilliant. From that first 20-man match in Hamilton, Ontario, to the sold-out arenas and pay-per-view broadcasts that followed, the Royal Rumble had transformed into something approaching myth. The Royal Rumble of the Federation era remains unmatched because it was invented by people who understood its power before it could be codified into predictability. These were the years when the match mattered most, when each victory meant something beyond a trophy. They remain the template against which all Rumbles that followed are measured and ultimately fall short.